make my heart a flutter when you use them big words.
Language matters.
Language does matter. And where we're from, words are hard, so I respect that.
You can help Jack off the horse, or language matters, and so does punctuation.
Did you say you can help Jack off the horse?
You can help Jack off the horse.
Or you can help Jack off the horse.
Language matters.
Language does matter. And hopefully anybody that's in here's got their parental slips. I had an uncle named Jack, Hey, Car Key, welcome in. How's Miss Carol today? So my cousins used to think it was funny to make me say things like,
yeah.
Our daddy Jack was on the building. Would you help him? And all that. Your uncle. Whoa, boys. Whoa, boy. Okay. Whoa down. Whoa down. Just telling family tales. Sorry.
What's your weather like in Tennessee today?
Blech.
Is it?
Yeah, it's supposed to. I think we're at a paltry 60% chance of rain this minute, which is supposed to be 70 in a few minutes and then 80 the rest of the day. But then it's going to drop back down to 70.
Oh, nice.
Sometime in the night.
Good morning, Miss Brenda. It's
so it's supposed to rain. Rain.
What it's going to do here, we have a big old front. The sky's bright orange and blood red this morning. So.
Good morning, everyone from Canada. Well, that's like, I guess he's saying hi to Mike.
No,
good morning, Maple Bacon.
It is Mike saying hi to everybody from Canada.
Language matters.
Language matters.
If you guys missed the first part of the show, you missed it.
We don't even need to go back and discuss that anymore.
But language matters. Well, I just, man, it's been kind of a naughty week, and then I was just not naughty, pissy or bad. Oh, Mike, I actually did this for you because you've been complaining a lot lately about no donuts. So I went and got a dozen, and despite it not being the healthiest thing I could eat, I'm going to probably sit here and eat them in front of you all day just because, as long as you're here. And you're welcome to have one, but I don't deliver to Canada. So sorry.
Well, how can you be sad when you get like a sunrise like that right there?
It's hard to be sad when you see sunrises like that.
But sailors are freaking out right now as we speak.
That's true. That's a warning. I would share, Mike. I do share, and I would share. My wife, Brenda, did I share donuts with you this morning? I'm just saying that in order for me to share with you, you need to come down here and stand in my presence. And I would gladly bestow upon you. I'd give you half that box or more. That's just the kind of guy I am. So don't say I won't share, because that's not true. I've shared all kinds of things with Mark. I've shared seed ticks and briar patches. Don't think we've ever had to bunk together. Well, in the same teepee, maybe.
And we slept in the same mud.
We have slept in the same mud. And in fact, if you get, we've slept
we've slept several times. We've slept in the same mud,
and we've slept in the same flowing water.
We have that too.
Which makes us in because one of us was upstream at the time. That same water washed over there, so we used. That's not exactly what.
If you're the upstream guy, you got to warm up the water for the downstream guy.
That's your duty. Well, speaking of temperature, it was 51 when I went out to the store a few minutes ago. And like Brenda is now saying, it's supposed to be 57 here today.
But I mean, when it's raining like that, that's just miserable.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's absolutely miserable.
We're supposed to be up to, I think we're supposed to be 46 or 47 tomorrow.
Wow, that is a heat wave.
Unheard of.
You guys better watch out. Something's coming.
Something's peaking. It's getting ready to come jump on.
Something's getting ready to happen.
Well, they got a big old storm. I was just watching Ryan Hall, y'all.
Yeah.
This morning, and there's a great big old storm. Well, there's a storm back your way.
Yeah, big.
Although it looks like it's north, mostly north of you, but then
we're supposed to catch the tail end of it.
The West Coast, there is like right up in that Oregon, Washington country. It looks like they're getting pounded right now.
Mm-hmm. I think
it's going to break free and come screaming this way.
Good morning, Surf Bum John. Welcome in, buddy.
Good morning, John.
Are you getting flooded out up in your way? New Jersey had some floods last week, I think.
They might get some snow out of this deal.
Well, that's possible.
Mom and Dad are supposed to get snow.
Yesterday, what did I hear? Yesterday set a record. Washington, D.C. was in the 80s yesterday. A record.
For real?
Yeah, for real. Highest day in December, I think it's been on recorded record, 82 or something. I don't know. So they're probably not got any snow.
That's probably going to be good for everybody's health. Jumping back and forth like that.
Sure it will. And
44 and cloudy in New Jersey today.
And of course, Washington was built in a swamp, so added up.
Malaria will be
yellow fever. Eating flies could be there.
Blackwater fever and yellow fever. And
I just read something this morning about somebody who, I believe that's what they said they suffered from, blackwater fever, which sounds to me like drinking down below the septic system. Outhouse, but I don't know if that's what they mean.
It turns your urine black. Whatever.
Does it really?
Yeah.
What do you get such a thing from?
I don't remember what the critter is that gives you that, but it's not good when you get it.
But it is critter born.
I think it's critter born. I mean, it might bacteria, or I don't think it's a virus, but it might be.
Maple Bacon, you have become much more diplomatic and tactful in when you suggested such a sweet name. But you're absolutely correct. Somebody is supposed to be $8.3 million richer as of yesterday, but I doubt she'll ever see a penny. I'd like to think she will. And that's just the beginning. That's the tip of the iceberg for someone who shall remain nameless. We have all that meadows and marsh, muskrats, beavers, and otters everywhere. Yes, you do, John. I figured that's why you might be not figured.
That's a cool place.
Yeah. I just wondered if that was causing you to get, not causing you, but if there was flooding due to that or related to that.
Brenda said, Tim, have I told you I love my new tablet?
I don't know if you ever not, actually. I certainly haven't seen a lot of love from it. Let's put it that way. But you should love it. I thought it was a pretty nice little tablet. And it wasn't cheap. But I can't say nothing. She bought me a lovely, lovely new camera or video camera.
Yeah.
Which I wish I'd had when I was out at your place, so I could have taken. And you know what? I should send that with you to Africa.
No, I don't want to sign for it.
All I need, you don't have to sign. All I need is your chip to hang on the wall. Who's got the camera out? Zorn's guy still got it.
I don't want to have to sign for it.
Well, you wouldn't have to sign for it.
Somebody might take it from me or lose it or.
Okay. We'll leave it up to your cameras, your good wife. I'll have a discussion with her about
the
that.
boys in the Limpopo might take it away from me. I just couldn't bear that.
And you could drop it in there and not ever be able to reclaim it because, there's alligators in there. I mean, crocodigators in there. Which is something I didn't get on my picture list, which is not fit. It doesn't fit on the list, but it probably ought to.
Well, it's funny because I was a minute or two late this morning. I clicked on your link and you weren't there, so I got out and then I did my typical thing and I went to a website that's called the Extinct Zoo on YouTube, and they were talking about the largest predators that ever lived in the Cretaceous.
Yeah.
And it was a crocodile. And
really?
The son of a buck was like unbelievably huge, 14 tons.
Ooh, Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah, it just hunkered down. It was like 49 feet, 14 meters, I think they said.
God.
He just hunkered at the edge of the water and ate dinosaurs for a living.
I guess he did. So he would have been bigger, I guess, weight-wise is what they're going.
He was bigger than T-Rex.
Longer and heavier, or just heavier, or
heavier, and the skull was more robust. And
so if he was eating,
it's a scary-looking dude. The skull was like the length of my kitchen table here. So,
wow. Well, that's a good size. Hey, Space Mountain Dave Cantrell, welcome in, buddy. Hope you're having a good day. Is it wet in Florida? Florida hasn't reported in this morning yet. Brenda says, I love muskrats. She's telling John. Hey, Diana G, you're welcome in. I'm glad you got here in time. Your
I have
brother is not behaving himself.
Go, okay, Brenda, break into the song.
Okay, who did Muskrat love? The captain.
Wasn't that the Captain Tennille?
Yeah.
I was going to say Sonny and Cher, but because they sang the same kind of sappy kind of song.
And they may have sang that also, but it's Captain and Tennille made it famous. Not somebody's quick that's not got two screens open, is not already addlepated, could look that up real quick. I don't know if they wrote that song or somebody else did. I was thinking somebody else wrote it, and it was somebody that you might not suspect.
Probably Roy Orbison.
It's miserable in Florida. I hate to hear that. I was looking forward. I'm kind of hoping it dries up someday. There's a big race down there this weekend that starts.
I heard it was gross and rainy.
Starts at 1:30 today and goes till 1:30 tomorrow. And I was kind of hoping it'd be not just rainy.
So it'll be off before the ball games get on.
Well, tomorrow, yeah. Are both games tomorrow?
Yep. There's a mallard duck in my house.
Oh, that's what I'm hearing. Must be laying on the table because I hear it vibrating too.
My wife just got up and is moving about and got the dogs are all flutting around, and she laid her phone on the table as she walked by, and then it just started immediately quacking.
They know when she's up.
They do.
Oh, good morning, Princess Shauna.
I hear she's out. Oh, there she is. She's talking to somebody.
Oh.
Well, Mike, it would be supper.
It could be supper.
And you cook them rare. If you cook them longer than rare, waterfowl's not hardly fit to eat if you cook it more than just a little bit.
John said the games are 6:30 and 3 p.m. and 6:30, and I assume that is tomorrow, John. Correct? Not today.
It's tomorrow. They're both on tomorrow. One of them's on CBS and one of them's on Fox.
That's what I thought. Last week the late game was on CBS, so that's probably backwards.
And John, you're correct. 1 p.m. and 4:30 Mountain
time.
I think the 49ers are playing the second game, Mike.
So
I think they're the late game.
And they're playing Baltimore?
They're playing Detroit.
Oh, they're playing Detroit. I keep getting that mixed up.
I hope they get to go sit in a hall in the Maritime Sailors Cathedral.
I do too. While the bell rings.
I hope the 49ers get their bell rung.
49 times.
I would like to see the Ravens and the Lions.
Yes, I would too.
Because I don't want to see the Chiefs and I don't want to see the 49ers.
No, me either. Go Lions. That's right, Dave.
Go Lions.
She's go Lions. And I'm definitely
that'd be the coolest game ever if they won.
That would be a really good game, I think. Don't be mixing up Baltimore and Detroit now. I'm sorry, Carol. I do apologize for that. I say I've never really counted Baltimore much anyway because they're supposed to be in Cleveland, and they're not. And the Little League team they brought to Cleveland to replace them has never, been very good. I can't remember what the guy's name was that owned them back then. Phil used to fuss about him all the time. Being from having lived in that part of the world for part of his life, Phil was a Browns fan. He used to say, while I was somewhere in Tennessee cheering on the Miami Dolphins playing for some manner part of the championship, they'd be playing the Browns and Bernie Kosar or somebody'd be quarterbacking, and Phil would be up in Ohio rooting for the Browns.
We don't mention the Browns.
We don't mention the Browns in this house. They haven't been much punking, and when they get people, they don't seem to use them well. I think they've had 2 number 1 pick quarterbacks now and have kind of squandered both of them. One of them almost went to the Super Bowl this year.
And I don't know if it's just me, but does he look like he's gotten significantly larger?
I think he had. Well, it's either that or he's
not in an unhealthy way. Just like
he does look bigger. Yeah,
he looks bigger to me. Like he's packed on some beef for.
Yeah, and almost all those guys now wear the flak jacket, so it's hard to tell. But when they're in uniform, but yeah, he looks bigger in his shoulders, I think.
Yeah,
and which probably did him good in the pros. I mean, you can do a lot of things in the pros.
You can run over defensive guys if you're that.
And it's different than college. They might look big in college, but they grow up when they go to the pros. Probably chemically induced, but they grow
which is scary because they're already overly large human beings.
Friend of mine, well, you know Kevin Umsta. He used to have classes in Knoxville way before I went to school there, and he used to have classes with Reggie White. And he said Reggie White was a commanding presence in any room, any class he attended. And I imagine he was. He was a large fellow too.
Well, they all look like they're just regular size humans when they're on the field together.
Yeah.
But then they get next to just like an average Joe citizen, and it's like, good God, that guy's big.
Yep, sure does. I had a bag of coffee that I just finished and was not all that pleased with it. It seemed a little stale. Don't know if that's my fault because I've had it too long, or if it's how they sent it. Because I don't feel like it lasts that long in this house, but it might have. Well, let's see. What other business can we knock out of the park here right now? Brenda and I are still on the ever-growing search for a homestead. And we got 2 or 3 places we're looking at. And hopefully we'll start looking at some places this week, and either property places or homes. We're trying to move out of town a ways. We looked at something yesterday. It was down towards Phil's house, or not. Well, yeah, kind of close to Phil's house. How many on the favorite list for houses? You mean how many have we marked that we like? Mike? Probably quite a few, but I don't know. I don't know the exact number. But if the weather breaks and we're not getting flooded out, we'll probably be pretty seriously looking by Monday, or next week, Monday or Tuesday or sometime. So while it's been kind of stressful and it ain't getting a whole hell of a lot better, at least we're trying. We're getting a lot of extra help on Brenda's end. Brenda's getting lots and lots of help. Bite my tongue. She's getting lots and lots of help from certain family members. And actually one of her...
In advice or in physical help?
Well, a lot of advice and and some assistance. I guess we'd call it physical help. Reaching out to the neighborhood and the neighbors and the world in general about, property and, could they help us? And please don't take too much offense to this, but, lots of prayers and thoughts and prayers. I can deal with that part, but I think somebody's been posting things on like Facebook about it. Brenda says, please stop doing that. I don't, you don't need to put it on Facebook. And I agree.
And that's good that there'll be room for Mike's horse trailer.
I will try to make sure, Mike, that there is a spot. Now, I'm telling you something, Mike. If I put something in and I put in a concrete pad just for your horse trailer, camper, mobile, you damn well better come see me, because goodbye, Tennessee Bear, liver lips, and big ass. Oh, yeah. Was that yesterday, John, or today? And does that mean that's really gone forever? Or are they just doing something to it? The Country Bear Jamboree at Disney World is being shut. Yesterday, I believe, was its last day. Mike says he'll be on our way. I assure you. Especially in the winter months, huh?
What'd they get rid of them for?
I don't know. I guess they were past their time. And I know somebody was going to live stream from there last night, but yeah, it's
Ain't nothing sacred no more.
Ain't nothing much sacred no more. That's right. It's not if it ain't if it's not entertaining, I guess, to the new kids and their new parents, who were all, I guess, Gen X and Gen Zs or something, Jenners. Then I guess it's got to go. And since we didn't raise them up on that kind of stuff, and since they didn't appreciate some of the finer, more simple things in life,
There will be no horse trailer in our future.
Mike, I thought you told me that you had all that worked out when we talked the other day in private. You said, "Don't worry about Diana. I got the horse trailer thing covered." I thought that's what maybe that's not what you really said. By the way, thanks, John, for the vote of confidence there, since you got the real Tennessee Bear. I guess now I can say I went into retirement. There was a bear in the band who was Tennessee Bear.
Yeah.
And played a one string thing.
Dum, 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 dum.
So I can go in. I need to make me one of them and sit here and thump it.
Was it on a wash tub? I can't remember.
Yeah, and a stick, and
and
I didn't know it, but you
bend it back and forth like tuning.
Yeah, you can actually change the thump on those things. I thought they were just set.
No.
They probably get almost
like Ernest T. Bass's gas can.
Yeah.
You can turn the lid and bump.
Well, if you get the right tub and
hold in the fire, jump in the fire.
You get the right string and the right stick and the right bucket, you can get almost as many sounds out of that as Paul can get out of his jug.
Yeah.
He can get quite a few sounds out of that jug. Now there's discussion that says there will be no trailers, and then Diana says, Mike says, I did. Diana just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. She's a little bit cranky. I said, Mike, you and I need to have a long talk, buddy. That kind of talk right there is why you ain't got a horse trailer already. I need to teach you a few things about the 3 S's and some other because I guarantee you her eyeballs are probably boring holes through you right now. You just can't say things like that out loud. Maybe you didn't think you did, but you did. I will not be responsible for any divorces in my chat room. Let's see where it is. So anyway, we're still that's the story there. I guess the story is such as it is. I know Jen, and we'll have to get the girls down here pretty soon to do an auction. So be on the lookout for things like Ernest Thompson Seton books and things like that. Alan W. Eckert novels, narrative novels. That ain't gonna happen. So I'm just kidding about that. I didn't know if anybody'd pick up on that.
That's good.
That's kid, just joshing. I love Ernest T. Bass all day long. Oh, Brenda says. And Diana says, no horse trailer because we will be spending all of our money on a divorce lawyer. Oh, there's the first round. Fired over Mike's bow.
Now we can stop talking about horse trailers.
I guess at least till next time. As soon as he takes away her telephone so she can't call a divorce lawyer. I love Ernest T. Bass too, in all his hats.
I remember being in Smyrna with you guys when he showed up in Nashville.
Yeah.
and and literally got arrested
for chucking rocks through the
chucking
window.
a rock to a window.
Hey, that's a true story.
He was just walking down the street in Nashville. I don't know if they were having a parade or what, but he picked up a big old rock and chucked it through the window. And they arrested him instead of like, hey, that was really cool. Could you sign our broken glass?
Yep, he did. That was planned. I'm pretty sure, but he did it, and they did arrest him, and it was funny. It was perfect context. Contextually, it was just great. I thought.
And I can't remember who he did the voice for Gopher on Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, I think he did.
He did. He was a voice actor too, and
I think it was Gopher. I'm pretty sure.
it was Gopher that was Ernest T. Bass.
What's his real name?
Ernest T. Bass.
Well, what was his other stage name?
What was his other name? I don't know.
I can't remember. Brenda, help me out there. Oh, where'd that come from? Dang. Yeah, he was a director or producer or both on Andy Griffith for all them years. He was a smart man, but boy, you couldn't tell it by watching him being Ernest T. Bass. Well, I guess you really could tell.
And I think he kind of did the same thing that Don Knotts did. He got into show business when he was in the military during World War II.
Yeah.
And
that'd be about right.
Anyway,
I wonder if any of those guys knew each other from the military.
Probably. I can't believe that corps was that big. That, USO kind of. I couldn't imagine.
Well, I'm gonna be here talking, but I'm gonna shut my camera off a minute. I got to make a bodily adjustment. It means I just got to get my other cushion picked up here. Oh.
But it's better if there's a visual when you're doing that and making them noises.
Well, probably, but I just, I don't like to show off my infirmaries. That gives the enemy,
provides them with too much information.
They can get him out there. They're laying traps. Like, if we can get him down, he can't get up. If he sticks his shaft in the mud, we got him. Right, Tedder? You got anything you want to say to anybody while you're here? No? Guess not.
I have an eggshell in my Egg McMuffin. Does that bring you luck?
Oops. Don't tell everybody. Everybody out there will want one. You asked me for Canadian bacon. I asked you that specifically. Carol said, boy, you're knocking them out of the park today, Mark. Hey, buddy. You gonna get up and say hi?
Bill and Shirley, I guess. Or maybe not. Jokey? I don't know.
I'm trying to catch up here. I'm reading. His name was Howard Morris. Yes, it was.
It was Howard Morris.
Yeah, that's who he was. I assume that was his real name. He was a genius.
Probably my wife's cousin.
She a Morris by birth?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. I didn't. Well, I'm sure somebody told me, but I didn't remember it. Granddad will bring you a good lawsuit, so I call it lucky. It might only be if she chokes and dies, and then maybe I'd be lucky.
Or if it was hot and it scalded her.
Because she was dumb enough to pour it in her lap.
Man alive, I made some really bitter coffee today.
Mine's pretty damn good today.
It's a dark roast. I'm not overly fond of dark roasts anyway, so.
Need me come back out there and drink it all up?
Yeah, probably better get out here and get it. Get this bag done.
Next time I come out.
Once you open it, you got to use it all.
It's like a cork in a bottle.
Because there's kind of like, there's starving children around the world that need it.
Speaking of that, you're muted. Did you mean to mute?
No. Did you not hear me?
Huh?
You didn't hear what I said? You were just watching me go like this?
I did. Well, that's why I knew you were muted.
I didn't mean to mute.
Okay. I didn't do it.
No, I just leaned forward onto my computer and must have turned the mute on.
Must have. I can mute you like that. See? And then I can unmute. No hands. Look here, Ma. No hands. Oh, okay. Let's might as well get on with the business today. And I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't get done, so we're not going to get done. And there's more to come on this subject. I can't cover it all in one. I mean, it's just the world is too large.
The world is too large
for me to try to cover it all the way I'd like to cover it. I learned a thing or two a while ago. Oh, I found a new cool podcast, but actually I'll save that till a little bit later and I'll give that out if anybody's interested. Because the guy's done a whole series about the topic we're about to speak of. So I don't know if anybody paid any attention to these little thumbnail things that come out or not, but if you look at that one, you'll see there's two pretty drastically different photographs.
We don't see what you're talking about.
Oh, you do not. Thank you, Mr. Zorn, for reminding me, sir, to do this. Drum roll, please.
There we go.
So anyway, this is, I don't know what year this picture was. This is not as old. There actually are some older. And this one obviously is pretty new. But this is how we're going to talk about Africa. And you've all heard about the book Out of Africa. So this story is into Africa.
In Africa.
Get it? And there's a particular reason why I said into Africa. As there's at least one in our company who shall be going there and visiting. But when we think of safaris today, most people think of this. Driving around in Range Rovers and Toyota pickup trucks and taking photographs of all the major charismatic megafauna is the word I'm trying to think of. Creatures in general. And I thought it's kind of interesting because in the more modern photo there, you'll see that there's a guide, probably a guide or two in that vehicle, watching two, large male lions walk down the road in front of him. I'm not sure he's even got anybody in his truck, which is probably a good thing. Whereas on this other photograph, we have a young lady hanging out her window with a camera in her hand, and a female lioness on a either a bait or perhaps a kill of her own. But either way, to me, that looks too damn close. And this lioness might just reach right in there for, dessert, since she's not very far off. But that's just me. Now, and that could all be telescopic effect. Maybe they're not nearly as close as it looks. But you don't want to get too close on account of they will eat you
on purpose.
On purpose, yeah.
As food.
As food. They will, as the little boy said in church, they will consume you. Well, the preacher might have said that first, but
do you believe that, new Gene? Heck yeah, that is my dog.
My dog. Yeah, that is my dog. He consumed that brindle grizzly. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Probably not any newbies, but you never know. Leave a comment, because apparently, that's not punctuated correctly. Leaving a comment, period, is not the way to say that. Apparently, all those things help you to promote the channel. Carol, you should catch things like that. You're a teacher. Somebody's got to keep me in line. Anyway, so we're going to talk about, I thought I'd introduce the boys in the band here up front, but now we're going to talk about something more. But I just thought I'd bring these guys out. We got Mr. Big on drums, King Leo as vocals. We got Mbogo, as he likes to go by, he's got a big tattoo, Black Death. And he's on bass guitar, and we got the Thunderfoot Rhino. He's on rhythm guitar, and so is Silent Rapture, the leopard. And these are what were considered for many years by African hunters as the 5 most dangerous animals to hunt in, or be around, period, actually, in Africa. Now that's changed a little bit, but you don't hear as much about it. Hippos actually are probably the most dangerous animal in Africa, at least these days. They kill more people every year than any of these do.
They always have been,
and always have been. And then another one that's not in here because I guess it wouldn't mount on a wall very well, or it just didn't. It doesn't walk upon the earth. Is that Nile crocodile, or whatever the African crocodiles are? They get really big, and they're really body, and they'll eat pretty much anything that walks down to the river. And they don't care if you're a humble washwoman or you're, what's that guy's name? John D. Rockefeller. They'll if you get down too close and aren't careful, they will have you for lunch. And lots of stories about things like that. If you've ever read about Africa and dealing with some of the game animals that they have, then it's pretty amazing some of the stories that the number of people eaten every year by crocodiles and killed by hippos is enough to stagger you in many ways. Well, anyway,
I love that critter in the middle.
This guy right here.
Fascinated by him, and Robert Rurik always said that when one of them stares into your soul from 20 yards away, he looks like you owe him money.
And Robert Rurik was a famous. He was a writer, and he wrote a lot of stories about hunting and fishing. But he wrote several books about Africa.
Yeah,
and
Mbogo, Dagaboy.
And one of the reasons this came up is Marcus is going to Africa in June if everything goes right, embarking or landing on D-Day. So these guys may all be, garrisoned around the airport tarmac there when you land. So be careful.
We land on the 7th, so we're leaving on.
Oh, okay. Well,
we're leaving on D-Day.
So you're going to be D-Day 1 getting there.
We were D-Day. Terry worked it out 20,400, I think. D-Day plus 20,400.
Was that hours or days?
Days.
Days. Okay. What was said? Carol says she's off duty. Well, okay, I'll give you that. So anyway, that's one of the reasons this all came up. Now, Mark's not going over there and hunt the big 5, but hopefully, if there's any luck at all, he'll get to see all 5 of them. And yeah, of these 5 right here, I think the 2 that would honestly worry me the most would be the Cape Buffalo, the buffalo, African buffalo or Cape buffalo, and the leopard, more than the lion or an elephant. Or rhino is an interesting quandary, but I wouldn't be near as afraid of him, I don't think. One thing, if you're paying attention, you probably know he's coming for several reasons. He sounds like a small locomotive.
Yeah, but they're fast.
They are fast, but they're not.
That's the browsing one. That's a black rhino. The other one's a grazer. The white rhino's a wide-lipped rhino.
I got pictures of those somewhere, but I don't know if I got them in my slideshow yet. But yeah, that's the difference. If you ever wondered why they call them white and black, and they both look the same when you see them in a picture or at the zoo, that's the difference is how the width of their nose, basically, or visual reference. Now, the black rhino also has a prehensile upper lip, which the whites don't. I don't think theirs is not prehensile. Probably pretty handy, but it's not as handy as the blacks. I was amazed.
Because one of them's a browser and one of them's a grazer.
Right. Well, yeah. I was amazed recently reading some stuff about the leopard and just how many leopards there probably are and probably still are. Or, well, I haven't looked to research the current numbers, but they're supposed to be pretty high still.
They're super abundant.
Yeah, but one reason people don't know how they're so stealthy that people don't see them a lot. They move at night.
Mountain lions here, you don't see them, but they're darn sure there.
Exactly. And a lot of people that did live in the jungles or Africa or the plains of Africa thought this guy was much more dangerous than King Leo over here. Anyway, we'll move right along into kind of how some of this got started. And again, there's so much of it, it's hard to detail it all. In the Swahili language, the word safari means journey, more or less, originally from the Arabic verb safar, which roughly translates to mean to make a journey. So Swahili, it being the primary language spoken through much of the East Africa and the Congo, it became safari. And it kind of got started for the reason it always gets started. Exploration gets started is because somebody's looking to see what's out there that they can get rich quick on, or at least get rich on. It doesn't have to be them as long as they can make somebody else do it for them. But anyway, so the earliest safaris recorded were primarily focused around the trade routes. They were developing trade routes off the coast of Africa. And some of the earliest, I may have a map of this in a second. Some of the earliest trade routes to Africa were documented and created by the Portuguese, who were the master sailors and navigators and such of the oceans before Columbus time. And as that part of Europe started to explore the world by water, the Portuguese were pretty much ahead of most everybody else. And when I say that part of Europe, I don't count I think the Vikings were probably way ahead of these guys. They were just already going out of business by the time these guys became prominent. But they certainly knew how to get around and navigate the oceans. But anyway, Portuguese created travel routes and trade routes into Africa. And yes, one of those, there may be some triggering sites and comments today, guys, and I'm only using them in correct context. I'm not trying to use them in any derogatory fashion. And yes, because yes, one of those commodities were Africans and used for slave trade all over the world and in Great Britain and Great Britain's colonies and all that until Britain started to abolish that. Excuse me, fixing my. Until they abolished the right of slavery and out of the United Kingdom. That said, it didn't mean they didn't still trade in it sometimes, nor did it mean that they didn't sometimes still have them when you got outside of town, so to speak. You got out of London, you get outside the borders of jolly old England, and there's a lot of stuff happens. But anyway, this guy in the corner down here was just an early picture of I can't remember what his name was, but this gentleman is actually of Dutch descent and was amongst the Boers who lived down there and helped settle a lot of the southern and eastern Africa, and the ones who discovered gold and diamonds and all the things that British and other countries got into later, and then which forced them into figuring out how to get people to work for them to dig their mines, which usually took forced labor too. So that's a whole long twisted story. But anyway, this is a shot with a Cape buffalo. And over here is just sort of a composite photograph of, I looked at this as sort of an old meets new. But, well, actually, there is one rifle there. But everybody else in that group is either holding a spear or a bow, which I thought was kind of interesting. And these are some of those maps, the early maps. See, what they knew of Africa was mostly around the coastline. And northern Africa, of course, had been settled by the Egyptians and other nations of people that were known by the Mediterranean people. So those countries were more, or that area was more developed and more explored and better known than the dark part of Africa, as I used to call it, the center, where nobody in the so-called civilized world knew anything about back then, because nobody had been in there and come out to tell about it. And this map on the right actually shows some of the Roman expeditions where they sent, legions in to explore parts of the north. It's still in northern Africa, but that also explains why more of it was mapped early on. And again, here's some more such maps, and you can't read all the fine print, but these are both maps of where expeditions were sent in. Well, except for this one on the right, which is kind of interesting. It's a map of the route that was taken in 1887 to 1889. And this is another way that the hunting got started, was when people from Europe were exposed to all the wildlife and stuff that was on in Africa. There was a relief expedition mounted out of England, I believe, or Germany, for the Emin Pasha relief expedition. He was being besieged and, trying to be destroyed. He was the leader of part of the country, and I believe this was German interest at that time for trade and whatnot. So they sent in an expedition, and expeditions like this and other ones that were sent in for newspapers or to the church was in the business of sending missionaries into a lot of places, just like they did here on this continent, and they did that in Mexico or in Africa also. So some of those, that's how some of the other things were exposed, and they came back and told stories of, great big giant elephants and animals that nobody ever seen or heard of. And it just brought more and more people wanted to go see these things or hunt these things or be amongst these things. And that's how it sort of led to safaris and big game hunting and the Big Five. And here's kind of an example of some early safari life. Although I don't know if this may or may not be staged. And then this might be more modern accommodations on the left, right here. I don't know. Does that look like Animal Kingdom Lodge? Anybody at Disney World? I've never stayed in a room. It does kind of look like it, though, decor-wise. And I'm not sure who this was, but there's one thing about being in Africa that seemed to affect at least certain people, and that was the the desire to write. And those writers are probably what got Mark and I both interested in going to Africa, him especially. But I used to just live on the stories of some of the writers that as they talked, and not always just about them shooting things or hunting things. It was about how the experiences of why they were there and what they did, and and highly recommend some of those folks. And I'm sorry, hang on there. Maybe this won't be as bad now. I put it on slow motion. I'll wait till he comes back and then I'll get into that. But anyway, any questions at this point? Not like the quiz won't be till after, but muted.
Are you asking me a question?
No, I was just waiting on you. I asked them a question. If anybody
Sorry, my wife's trying to leave the house.
Oh. Well, do you need to go help her?
No, she's gone. She gone. She's off to watch the granddaughter swim. So
where do they have to go for that every time? I mean, that always a travel thing, I guess, isn't it? Unless they
not if it's at home, but today it's in Green River, so she's got to go to Green River.
Got to go to Green River. Yeah. So anyway, so after all this exploration and some of these things happened, along came the time of the Bwana. Bwana is from Swahili, and basically it means important person or safari leader, or in a simpler term, actually master.
Or boss.
Yeah.
I got a call. Terry's making me call him Bwana. and I'm supposed to be his gun bearer when he goes after his buffalo.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I'll be basically.
Yeah, you will, though. Yeah.
I'll be unarmed when I hand him when he says, tow my 470, which means hand me my gun. I'll be unarmed and staring at the Black Death. So
I think I'd ask for a backup. What's he going to be carrying? Is he going to be carrying a big twin double rifle?
He's carrying like a 470 Rigby or something. He's actually renting one of the concession owners rifle. We're not taking firearms except for that piece of yellow wood that I'm going to be carrying over there.
Yeah. That's a good looking piece of wood, out of the way. I was looking at that this morning more. I love how you can see the grain, not the grain, but
it's got good thick rings on it.
It's got nice rings in it, yeah.
It's a good piece of wood.
Is that from out there or from somewhere else?
Well, I sent you a note telling you where it was from.
I had looked.
We got it in Nebraska in 2018. 2018.
Well, anyway, some of these guys started out from the hunting, came from the Boer culture, because when the Boers started settling Africa, they they lived off of Africa, so to speak, until they were able to create farms and such. So they have quite the hunting culture, for good or bad. But that's what they did, and now this group here is a group of Boer soldiers gathered up probably to get ready to fight the British or whoever. And this guy was in that. And I'll show you another picture of him in a minute. And
the Boers were Germans.
Yeah, right, and Dutch, weren't they?
Afrikaan, yeah.
I think Dutch was mixed in there too. Yeah, that's what for a long time I didn't realize how many colonies. I mean, the Germans had 2 or 3 colonies in Central and South. Well, actually, on both, I think both coasts they had colonies, and they were very and during World War I, there were a lot of conflicts and battles fought between
between British troops
and the Boers part of this because of the German issue. And it was actually a pretty big deal.
And France was involved. There was all kinds of countries.
Of course, they had all had I mean, pretty much
been fighting each other forever.
Well, and pretty much once the Europeans moved down there, they sliced it all up amongst themselves because that's what they did and claimed it all, you know. And then from there, they not only fought the natives, but they fought themselves. But anyway, we could talk about that for days too, I'm quite sure. So that gentleman in that picture there, his name was Selous, Celous. And it's Captain Frederick C. Selous, DSO, at blah, 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 somewhere else. But this is his grave. It was guarded, marked, protected. It was. I don't know that it still is. But they got these pictures back from, I read, this is out of a newspaper clipping, and apparently there aren't very many photographs of this site. That's why I think maybe it doesn't exist anymore. And this is him as a much younger man when looks like he was still hunting with a muzzleloader, which is another thing that you don't think about. But when we talk about dangerous game and hunting it, doing it with a muzzleloader, especially if they were on horseback part of the time, was pretty risky at best and pretty dangerous at least, I would say. Oh, God, I'm hurting. My back's hurting.
Well, and that's an interesting thing. The horses, you know, they use them in South Africa and they use them in probably the northern third of the continent. And then the central part of Africa, the big strip across the middle, you can't have horses because there's tsetse flies and they kill horses.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Good point.
And I'm glad we're not going to be in tsetse country. We got Mopani bees, but they're harmless.
Have you had to, or will you have to take some vaccinations?
We could. None are required, but
okay.
We're thinking about maybe yellow fever, just for grins. But
interesting sidebar there. You know, yellow fever, but even more so malaria, used to kill a buttload of people in the United States, even up till the 30s and 40s. Of course, DDT did a lot to stop that, but that was another reason TVA was given to control those waters so they could fluctuate levels and kill off a lot of mosquito larvae and stuff like that. Anyway, and then this guy comes along. His name was Harrison. I didn't put his whole name in here, did I? Yeah, I did.
So you jumped way back.
Oh, yeah, but I'm
you went in the Wayback Machine, man.
Well, these guys weren't as far back. I thought the date was they were not that far. Anyway, this guy also was amongst those early Victorian travelers who enticed people to Africa to hunt. His name was Sir William Cornwallis Harris. And they had a photograph and they had this painting, and I stuck the painting in there because if that ain't a baby-faced lieutenant, I ain't never seen one. But he painted one of his, they said he wasn't a great painter, but he could paint, and he actually is a hell of a lot better than I am. And one of his first things that I guess got some exposure and got people's attention was this sable antelope, supposed to be, that he painted. And this started getting people more, his art started, more people in Europe and such started getting more interested in the large African fauna. And so they started trying to find people that would take them hunting. This young man didn't live to be very old. He was born in 1807 and he died in like 1836 or something. And I think he might have died from, that's why I saw about Blackwater fever.
Yeah.
I think that's what killed him. And these are just some examples of other photographs of Yor with the, they might show, this might be an early, on the left might be an early photo of somebody trying to advertise for safaris even. I'm eating this for Mike's.
You're what?
I'm eating this for Mike's benefit.
Okay.
I don't have any bacon, but it's maple. It feel like I'm chewing on your leg.
Brenda had the bacon, so you're good. And it was Canadian bacon, so you're even better now.
True. I put this second one in because this guy's showing a big bird. I didn't know what this was at first. And but it's called a Cory bustard. And I believe it is still, or was, the largest or heaviest bird that can still fly, that flies, because ostriches are big and heavy, but they don't fly. And this guy can, and he's about the size of he's not too far below an ostrich. He's pretty big.
They're 40 pounds.
Yeah.
They're 40 pounds. So that's a lot of bird flying through the air. You get hit by one of them, you're going down.
Yes, you are. And this top picture is just like
you think about the average wild turkey, it'd be, a big male would be like 22 pounds. So double that, and that's that creature.
And then I threw this in there because Teddy Roosevelt was one of our famous in our history.
He loved
a fair amount of time in Africa doing the same thing. And that man in the back is Selous, the one I just showed you there a minute ago. That was one of the first Bwanas, or famous early Bwana. And I don't know if he was as active, but he was I think he organized at least one of TR's expeditions into Africa. And I don't know, correct me, Mark, was he there more than once?
Yeah, several times, I think. He loved Africa. Somewhere on my shelf in here, I've got a book that's Teddy Roosevelt's African Adventures, written by Teddy Roosevelt, and it's like the first edition.
That
it's one of my prized possessions.
Either is or was going to be on my shelf, but I don't know if it is not. I might have missed that book. Anyway, you can see
Brenda, I am not telling him to go out and buy that book. Although it's occasionally available.
It is.
I see it every now and again.
And here TR is hunting two of the big five. And before anybody gets too upset, this was early days and there were lots of elephants. And at that time, Honestly, we weren't thinking so much about conservation.
Well, but even then, it was like there were a gazillion elephants. Elephant populations have declined for a couple reasons, and none of them have to do with hunting.
Not legal hunting.
It's poaching for ivory or habitat destruction.
Right.
But there are still countries in Africa that elephant numbers are like exploded, like Botswana. They have so many problems with elephants. They probably exist at higher numbers than they maybe ever have in some places. But then other places they've been completely depleted. So it, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-22 in that regard.
And there are still people that want ivory that are scumbags. And there are still people that want rhino horn that are scumbags.
And they're willing to find scumbags that are willing to go out and shoot it for them. So,
yeah. Bully, bully.
Bully, bully.
That's what Brenda just said, bully, bully.
Oh.
That's what Teddy said all the time.
Yeah, bully, bully. So he took a whole group over. I think this particular expedition, he had quite a few people with him. And look at that rifle he's got in his hand. I wonder if that's what he shot that elephant with. That's a really short barreled.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Close range. That would get me closer than I'd probably like to be. I don't know what the bore is on that thing. I mean, these guys were hunting, especially when they were doing it with black powder, were hunting with stuff about this big around.
Well, he was using 470s and things like that. I have a documentary that's called In the Blood. That's about his great grandson going on his first hunt in Africa, first hunt ever, and it was to Africa, and it was with probably that rifle. And he touches it off. They're like he's learning how to shoot at camp before they go hunting, And he touches that puppy off, and he lets go with both barrels. And it literally just picked that kid up. He was about 12, picked him up and just threw him backwards about 10 feet.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, Mike, it is. But not when they're done by the rules. Again, I know I'm not going to try to wage whether hunting animals or killing an elephant's a good thing or a bad thing, but they didn't waste these animals. Even then, the local tribesmen who were always involved with the hunts, we always see them, like Mark said, gun bears or trackers or other village people. They got these animals to eat, and apparently, elephant was something they actually did hunt and liked, so they ate, pretty much the whole thing.
Well, we did too. We ate elephants for most of
sure.
History.
Yeah, true.
I mean, to me, if you're eating it, if you're feeding your people, that's not a waste.
No, it's not a waste.
If you're just cutting the ivory out and walking away, then that's a waste.
Well, that's like killing an elk and then just cutting his head off and leaving the body there beside the road.
Yeah.
Nothing pisses me off worse. But anyway, back when these animals were taken and when these guys started hunting, like Mark said, some of these animals were in great abundance, and some of them actually were in an overabundance in the areas they were at because, one, they were being pushed out of habitat into other habitat, and they were adapting to habitat. And some of the habitat that was created with its browse and its availability of certain kinds of trees, fruit trees and whatnot, increased population. So in some ways they created part of their own problem, which is what we tend to do. Mike says, no, if you're hunting it for sport and the rest is going to waste, that's not good. Feeding a village is a good thing. That's what they do, which is okay. And that's why villages should move from their habitat, then they won't be a problem. Well, there's some truth in that too. But part of that problem with habitat happened in the last half of the last century as the European rule kind of turned over in Africa, and the lands that had been owned by the white settlers down from the last 150 years reverted over to the states, and then they got split up amongst people, which meant they spread out, cleared more land, and to create their own little piece of heaven, and that caused even more problems. So
yeah, you take Rhodesia / Zimbabwe as an example.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
Wildlife populations are way lower in Zimbabwe now than they were. And I mean, good, bad, or indifferent, that's just what happens.
Well, I mean, and I get that. These people have been, I do kind of get it, because these people have been subdued and kept under their thumbs for so long. And they cut them loose on it and said, this is yours. And they just flooded out onto it and literally.
Yeah, hopefully that's not going to happen before I get to South Africa. It's getting kind of tricksy there too. So,
yeah, well, I hope not. But yeah, I hope not.
They're sure killing a lot of white farmers.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna. I don't know what all is going on there. So
it's just getting kind of tricksy.
But it is getting tricksy, that's for sure. And then I was going to move on here. There's a lot more information about. I mean, there's a cut like we were just talking about. Teddy wrote a couple of books. Teddy Roosevelt, not you, bud. Not you. And he says that you can call him Bully anytime. There's a lot more books. I think one of his big books is Out of Africa, maybe his book. No, or oh crap! I just had that book pulled up yesterday. I didn't buy it, Brenda, but I had it pulled up, and it's one of the books I want. I tried to buy it off the sale Jennifer had recently. She had a bunch of Hemingway books and a bunch of Teddy Roosevelt books, and I was trying to buy them, and I missed the end of the sale and got outbid, of course, because when you snooze, you lose. So I didn't get any of those books. Ernest Hemingway spent a few trips over there, and he said once that now being in Africa, I was hungry for more of it. The changes of the seasons, the rains with no need to travel, the discomforts that you paid to make it real, the names of the trees, of the small animals and all the birds, to know the language and to have time to be in it and to move slowly through it, which was, what someone like him would want to do. And, in many ways, these guys were a lot like you, Mark. I mean, they would, and I say this because you're much better at this than I am, and I try to do it, but, they, like you said, why would you sit and soak up the sun when you could be out doing something else, like fishing or shooting birds, or as they talk?
Just looking at it. Yeah. I just want to see it.
Well, yeah, that too. But you know what I meant. And they said one of his favorite secrets. They kind of referred to it as the secret was Hemingway loved to go down there and bird hunt, which were probably shooting guinea fowl probably, but they were also probably shooting stuff that had been brought in like partridge and whatnot.
But they have dozens of game birds.
Yeah.
That are they didn't need partridge. They had plenty of native ones already there. It's just amazing.
Mike said he bet Teddy would write a good book about big cats and little cats. And then Carol said, Teddy, we know you'd write great books if your human would teach you how to type. So we've worked on that typing thing, but he said, my paws just tend to make words misspelled. Said I strike too many letters at one time.
Too many letters all at the same time.
That makes it tough to read, doesn't it? It takes a lot of editing. So anyway, Papa spent some time down there, and probably one of his last things he did before he died was be in Africa, I think. And this is just some pictures of him, and that top one is with his last wife. I think her name was Mary. And they spent, and when these guys went over there on safari, they spent a couple of months over there. They didn't just go for a week or 10 days. They spent time over there, and this is him, and
I got a bad feeling that I might get over there and I'm just gonna stay.
You're not coming back. I'll have to come over there looking for you.
I've been thinking about it my whole life. I'm just staying.
Someday a sweaty fat guy will hobble into a hut, and I'll say, "Dr. Zorns, I presume." Oops. Well, I guess that's all I got put in there today. So what I didn't get to was all the other. And I'll put this.
I thought we were going to talk about critters.
Well, we were. I mean, that's why I started running out of space. So I've got pictures of critters. So let's talk about critters. Time is it? Where's my cursor? Okay. Yeah. Well, I actually thought I put some more pictures in here, and I must not have saved them because they're not there. Okay. All right. Well, let me just put my slide preview up, and I will show. Stop it.
Who?
Me.
I'm gonna show off the birth of my new weapon.
Yeah. Talk. Hey, Teddy, welcome.
So here's a half a bow, and here's the other half of a bow to be. It just got born yesterday.
Okay, I have a question. I think I just saw the answer.
And then it slides together like that and makes a whole bow. Eventually.
Where's the handle exactly? The riser.
Right there.
Okay, that's what I thought. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it will be in the center. That is the center of the bow.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was above or below the center.
No, it's right in the middle. It's
I
dead
guess that's
center.
where it'd have to be to make it tiller right.
Dead center. There's a lot of wood that's got to go away.
Oh, yeah, I know. Next time we see it, it'll be a slender, skinny fella.
But it's I needed to build a takedown so I could put it on an airplane.
Yeah. And what do you figure what are you shooting for a draw weight?
55, somewhere around there.
And what is that going to be? Basically a flat bow, or is it going to be smaller than a flat, more narrow than a flat bow?
No, it'll be a flat bow, but it'll be probably 55 pounds. Somewhere, that's what I'm shooting for.
See what you're shooting for, bow and arrow, shooting for.
Shooting for. I got 24 wooden arrows fletched with turkey feathers,
and
a bunch of Zwickey broadheads, and if I can go sit in a ground blind at a water hole and watch impala and warthogs come in and take pictures of monkeys and whatnot, I'll be happy as a clam.
Whether you shooting
even if I shoot loose an arrow or don't.
I'm pretty sure I missed something here.
Should be okay.
Walter's the big dog.
See, punctuation matters.
It does.
So there's Carol Walters.
It turned into quite a humper.
I'm just saying, we talked about this morning already. It matters.
I'm so glad Carol's last name's not Walters.
That Mike, that's funny all day long.
It's
all
hilarious.
Day long.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get in the next
We
line.
got to get extra special permission slips now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get Mike into the next language study we do class. Oh, Mark and I discussed this morning. Language matters.
Words matter and punctuation matters.
And what's the sentence structure or how you put the words together matter? I don't know. Sentence construction or whatever they call it.
and the funniest thing about this whole deal is probably that two hayseed hillbillies are like talking about language.
Yeah. Here we are. Here we are trying to teach.
So my son, I took my stepson home with me to mom and dad's.
Yeah.
And he said something, and my dad and my uncle both corrected him, like on his use of verbiage. And he looked at me and he was like, "Great. My English is so bad that hillbillies are like correcting me."
I'm just sitting here thinking about.
Think about Dale Zorn's correcting your line, like, well, what you meant to say.
I don't think I ever envisioned Carol using us as for slide or for a video presentation on how to use the English language, unless she's going to show something about how not to use it. Oh, here we are teaching America how to talk, and we can't.
I believe in the ability to do that, and then if you choose not to, choose not to.
Do what? Which part?
Speak correctly.
Oh, yeah.
And if you choose not to, then that's okay. If you got to slip back into rural Appalachian, you can do that.
Sometimes it's helpful.
Mm-hmm. It's darn sure more. What's the word I'm looking for? Illustrative. Well, that's not how you say it, but certainly more colorful.
Certainly more colorful. Yes, absolutely more colorful. What is the word you're looking for? I know what that word is.
Illustrative. Illustrative? Carol's going to have to help us out.
That's a pretty big word for us to be throwing in there, illustrative.
We used one this morning. I can't remember what it was now.
Oh, mercy.
Word of the day.
we should stop doing a word of it. I'm going to run this by the superintendent and see if I can purchase the Zorns and raw English grammar curriculum. I wish you would.
We can fix it right up.
We can sell it. Maybe we could sell it all over Michigan. Hell, maybe we can go back to Africa.
So one of my favorite TV shows is Dr. Pole.
Yeah.
And he lives in the Lower Peninsula.
Uh-huh.
And those people that come to his clinic, Appalachia people got nothing on those folks.
and they talk about us. You
And,
do
I'm like, and you dare talk about a Southerner?
Yeah. I heard somebody else, some comedian, talking about that the other day in a clip, and or was that what was that? It was a discussion. Might even have been a podcast. They were talking about sort of the same topic. Anyway, and we all talk different. Doesn't make us funny. And it don't always mean we're trying to be funny. Sometimes that's just how we talk, isn't it, Teddy? And I told Brenda, I said, does a French man talk? Does a French man?
Is a French man a man?
Is a man? Is he a man? Is a French man a man?
Then why don't he talk like a man?
Then why don't he talk like a man? Is a cat a man? No.
Is a French man a man? Yes.
Man a man. And why don't he talk like a man?
one of the best series of
discussions ever
on film.
And that would and it was perfectly placed because I could see that very kind of discussion happening when you're floating down a river, just
Exactly.
We've
had them.
But they're not recorded. Think what we could be if
they were just never on film.
Lord have mercy, no telling what.
Like, how come there ain't no water in this river?
I thought you said we were going to paddle down to the bridge.
I still remember your wife dropping us off, and we go down through that big deep pool and around the corner, and then there wasn't no water.
And we were waiting after that,
and we were like dragging the canoe. That's where that Cherokee man, Dragon Canoe, got his name. He was probably floating down the Stones River.
Bet you're right. I bet you're right. Yeah, there was not as much water in that river at that time as I thought there would be.
It was a grand adventure.
It was a grand adventure, though. It was a grand adventure. And this was pre-cell phones, too. So
we were just way late.
Yeah.
Your poor wife was like, "What? Why don't they write?"
Yeah.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm just in one of those moods today.
Hey, Tim, I was thinking, do you think you could do a topic about Hawaii one of the Sundays? Well, sure. Sundays? Why Sundays? I probably could. Hawaii has some interesting history.
Hawaii one like Hawaii 5-0?
Mike,
only lesser.
Structure of sentences matters a great deal.
Saturday. What the heck do we never been there?
No, but I can talk
about
it.
I don't think you have been.
No, I'd like to go. I've got friends that live there, a couple of friends anyway. That's another place I'd like to go see the birds before they're all gone. The ones that are left anyway. Yeah, Mike, we can do that. Are you thinking about moving over to Hawaii? How did they used to say that on?
What's the big island is that Hawaii?
No, the big island's Honolulu, isn't it?
Well, that's a town.
I'm not even sure about that, actually.
That's a town.
No, that's true. That's true.
One of the islands is real rural and big.
Oahu, I believe it.
And it's full of like non-native ungulates.
Yeah, which is a problem.
But gives you a lot of protein. It provides a lot of natural protein.
I had a map pulled up here. Hang on, there it is. Let's see what Google Earth I can find Hawaii. I'm looking at South Africa. Reckon why I would have that pulled up.
In my mind, I've been there like 1,000 times.
Africa?
Yeah, South Africa especially. Hawaii.
All right, Tim.
Elena.
Yeah, is Elena in here?
She is.
Well, good morning. Big Island is Hawaii Island. Okay. And there's, let's see here. Well, this is name towns.
Good evening.
True. It's the middle of the night. She must have stayed up late listening to Garrett.
And I like how they say it. Hawaii. That's probably a very poor pronunciation, but they talk cool.
There's Lanai. That's named after all those screened-in porches in Florida. What is Kauai? Kauai is the island I was thinking about that's really rural and mountainous. Aloha. Kaka. I think the language is really cool if you know how to speak it, which I do not. We watch a lot of videos on taking a cruise ship there. Oh, okay. Hawaii is one of the places that if I was going to travel to far off foreign shores, that would be it. One of them, at least. And yes, I do know it's in the United States. You should look for an expert about Hawaii living to be on the stream with you. Definitely not me, though, but I'll join. Well, I've got to cut. Well, I mean, there's always Elena, but she's usually in bed about this time of morning. Because let's see, what is it over there? It's about 6 a.m., I think. If not earlier. And Maple Bacon says, I agree with me. Yeah. I think it's beautiful. I'm still sleepy and trying to go back to sleep. Well, Elena, we're sorry we interrupted you. We said Hawaii and she woke her up. Maybe sometime we can, Elena, if you ever feel like getting up that early. But also, well, it won't matter who I know. If they live over there, it's going to be early. I have a friend named John Bird. We used to call him just Jay Bird. He lives over there now. He's been over there for a few years. I don't know if he's got used to the time yet or not.
Time to get up and get the horses fed, Elena.
Yeah, it is. Time to get stock fed and water, and then you can go back to bed for a little while.
And I know you guys have cowboys over there. I've seen them.
They do. They got good cowboys over there. I bet they've even got horse trailers with living quarters in them over there that you could pull on behind your truck.
I've seen those Paniolo cowboys like swim cattle out to ships, horseback, and load them on ships.
She said it was talking about donuts that woke her up. She says,
a horse trailer in Hawaii.
Mike says, oh my God, Tim, that's a great idea. Horse trailer. I'm not sure why, but you're off kilter with us. Hang on a minute. Now I've got you. Well, no, wait a minute. No, you're probably not. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the time delay, not the live one. So you just touched your nose, didn't you? Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at the wrong picture. So I thought you were delayed, and it's anyway.
Wouldn't surprise me.
So we were going to talk about animals, and I was on a mission to pull my animal pictures up. So let's do that right now while we still got a chance. But I want to come back to this topic again, and because I want to talk some more about that wildlife management situations, and talk about some of the things that people don't always talk about.
Are you getting in political on this?
No.
Even if you are.
No.
I don't want to even think about that.
I don't mean that. I don't mean that at all. I'm not. I'm sorry I said those words. See, language matters. So anyway, I showed you this one already, and that's on.
I don't see it.
Oh crap! Oh, of course you don't, because you know who forgot to present it. Share. Now you can see it, and he left.
I'm here.
Now you can see it.
Well, that's an Mbogo. What a Dagaboy.
It's funny how many of these pictures have Cape Buffalo in them. Oh man, I found the coolest looking boots.
No, Mike's leaving.
Mike, don't leave.
How come that airplane's got a bent prop? Or does
Well, this is a 180 Cessna that Papa Hemingway and his last wife crashed and burned in, so to speak. And they thought that they were dead, so the newspapers all started. They were in the jungle for a week or so, and everybody really thought they were dead. By the time they got to them and found them, they said, "This is the story that they come out of the jungle." Papa had a bunch of bananas over his shoulder and a bottle of gin in one hand, and Mary just looked like she, stepped into a safari outfit. So they were okay.
But a bunch of bananas and a bottle of gin.
That's what the article in the paper said. Bye, Mike. Sorry, buddy. We'll talk later. Yeah, hang on to Walter now and be careful who he's humping.
Carol Walters.
I started to say, watch out for Carol. Sorry, Carol. We'll talk later.
Sorry, Carol.
It was just funny the way he said it. I mean, he said Carol.
Well, given the discussion this morning, it was just hilarious.
It fit perfectly. Oh, that's ain't impossible.
These aren't critters.
No, I'm getting there. There. How about those? And this is the typical safari these days, but there are still hunting safaris, as Mark will attest at some point.
Oh, look at that beauty.
What's that on his back? What kind of tick bird is that? Or is that a tick bird? Yeah. That's a big guy.
That's its name.
Yeah, I know. I just didn't know.
It's like magpies here. I was just driving past the horses yesterday.
And they were covered in magpies.
One of the boys had a big old magpie sitting on his back, and I tried to get a photograph, and of course, he's a magpie, so he flew off just before I could photograph him. But
yeah, of course.
I see him on moose all the time,
which is a good thing
because they have ticks, but the horses don't. Anyway,
look at that big. Can you see down into the depth?
Look at the boss on that. The middle of the horn. They call that the boss.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a beauty.
This is also where I've always heard that this is not where you want to shoot buffalo. Cape Buffalo is here. Anywhere in the Boss area, that won't do any good. Sometimes it doesn't seem to do a lot of good to hit him right here. And just to add to this conversation a little tiny bit, the buffalo is a very, very, very numerous animal on the continent of Africa. It's nowhere any kind of management recommendations. Honestly, it's pretty wide open because there's still so many of them. Probably more now because they've got more land to graze. But
when the boars first showed up there, they brought a little livestock disease with them called rinderpest. and they darn near wiped this critter out with that
Wow.
and a lot of other stuff. And they have since, long since controlled it. And it's
So that
not
came out of Europe then.
it's not an issue anymore. We have a lot of wildlife diseases that are European in origin, European livestock in origin, including brucellosis and rinderpest and various other things. But
Some of which we have to deal with here also.
tuberculosis. I know where Carol lives, elk in Michigan have TB.
Oh, do they?
Mm-hmm.
Is it contagious to humans?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure. Well, I was going to say.
Same critter.
Well, cows used to have it too.
Yep.
We forget that, but I've read, and I didn't know that growing up, but I learned it later in life that, that's one of the reasons why they were stopping people from drinking unpasteurized milk, which most people, if they grew up on a farm anywhere, drank milk straight out of the teat, and take that one off on the on the form, Carol. We now use the word teat, but anyway, so yeah, we worry sometimes about people shooting critters, and most of the time that's not the real danger to them. Effluent. I can't look at an elephant without thinking about the Tarzan movie, the animated Tarzan movie when it came out, and the elephant that became his friend, and he was not sure he wanted to get into the water because he was not sure. He thought it might have bacteria in it. They have bacteria in it. His mom was trying to get him to, get in the pool and take a bath at the bottom of the waterfall kind of thing. These animals are quite amazing too, and they are. I mean, look at that leg, especially that he's got that knee locked and he's just got it extended. Hymenelli. And that's like way over our heads.
I can't wait to see one.
I hope you should see some down there, shouldn't you?
Yeah, so when Terry went to this place last spring, the very first day they got there was like 10 head that just like walked right through basically the camp. Just like here, do.
Elephants on parade.
There's Papa. There's Papa with the leopard.
Yep. And I thought this was interesting, and I'll have to find this guy's name. He's an interesting character too.
That looks like a springbok. That looks like an Indian woman getting water out.
What did I do there? There.
I don't know.
I can't do what I was doing. Anyway, that's a fine looking Indian scout he's got there, and makes a pretty good rifle rest apparently. At least for shooting things like springboks off your handlebars. I thought that was kind of a cool picture.
He's just collecting meat.
Probably. Yeah, he was another native, but he wrote, I think he was a writer. That's him also. Actually, maybe he's the one that only lived to be in his late 30s. Oh, well, I don't know his age, but I'll tell you this. Don't let me forget to tell you his story in a minute. Hopefully, I'll pop his name up here in a minute.
You've already given me like 3 tasks, and I can't remember any of them.
Oh, okay. There he is with Big Simba.
Well, he looks like an American.
Yeah, well, was he? I'm not sure if he was and went over there and stayed, or if he was from this. He's the guy.
An American cowboy hat.
Yeah. Well, he's the guy that got that. By researching him is how I found out about another guy, another guy that has a podcast that I was going to tell you about in a minute. That's called the Frontier, something of the Frontier, and he talks about the American frontiers, but he also talks the Frontier Partisans podcast, and he's got a series of several shows about Africa. And did you see that when it popped up there?
You're just going back and forth between your screensaver and this picture of a dead lion.
Oh, okay, yeah, I thought
which you need to move on from.
I know. Well, I thought it was popping. There was Teddy. This is Hemingway writing in his tent. And Mark is not staying in a tent, which is probably not all that. I love this painting, though, Mark. If you ever want to do one like this on my house, you can come stay with us while you do it.
I would be happy to.
There's a couple of nice big ones. It looks like black rhinos by their... Well, I can't see much, but it looks like a prehensile lip, but...
I think they're blacks.
Yeah, I think they are too. Which
are far less numerous than the white rhino.
Yes, I always thought it was the other way around.
Which they don't. The white rhino, they actually think that the actual name is wide.
Yeah, W-I-D-E. But it's a mistaken word for white because of the Boer pronunciations.
Right.
Or the... What else did they call them? I guess Boers, but I guess it was just Boers. This is that same guy I was just showing you with a bunch of stuff that either he or his clients have obviously taken. I believe he may be the one that they think was sort of the last ivory hunter. They referred to him as the last guy that really hunted for ivory to sell and profit from. And that's him right there, Charles Qatar. Oh, that's your train, isn't it? And it's spelled Cottar, and that picture was taken in 1910. And you can see that's a pretty good black and white shot. That's not too grainy. You can see that pretty well. I mean, a handsome young man could, getting ready to go down to pick up his marriage license or something there in that photo. And here's some cool cats. Cheetahs. I saw a picture the other day on the internet that had a cheetah's head, in the article the person was talking about leopards. And I sent a note and I said, I believe if you'll check, you'll find out those are not leopards that you're posting. Those are cheetahs. And you can tell, I mean, they don't have, their head's not the same.
A lot of cats, they just mix them up interchangeably, jaguars and leopards and cheetahs. Yeah. And it's like calling a cow a horse.
I mean, honestly, even if you just took a patch of fur across their back and side and compared them side by side, you could tell them apart even from that.
Exactly.
But, looking at their face, the cheetah's faces are just entirely different. They're shaped. They're kind of pug-nosed. I mean, they're sort of a short-nosed cat, and they've got, of course, I guess a lion is too, but I don't know.
They're so far removed from other cats, and their claws don't retract. They're not even close to those other ones.
I believe they're Panthera too, or Panthera, whichever it is. They means they can't roar. They have the wishbone or whatever that bone is in their neck that we've got. The one that breaks when you choke somebody. I shouldn't know that, but I do. It's a good reason.
Bone.
It's a good reason not to choke somebody to death, because that bone breaks and then they know it wasn't natural causes. Anyway.
So they're not Panthera. They're
whichever.
They're Asionics, and there's nothing else related to them.
Nothing's related to them at all.
Nope.
Okay. Other than the line.
Everything that they're related to is long extinct. But their Panthera are the roaring cats, like lions and jaguars and tigers.
So I had it backwards.
But they're, these guys bark.
And that's true. They do.
And their toes are like I said, their claws don't retract like on a normal cat.
Sometimes I think Teddy's don't retract because
and they're faster than
the Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, I suspect they're waiting
than the Jesus.
I'm suspecting that they're waiting right there now to race the train when it comes through. or they're hoping Carl Lewis is going to show up.
Well, bleeding don't got nothing to do with running.
No, got nothing to do with running. He was racing a cheetah one day in Africa, and it bit him on the leg, and he was bleeding profusely.
Wait a minute.
Run it. Didn't have nothing to do with it.
I failed to understand that this man in the wheelchair had a bleeding disorder.
He ain't got nothing to do with it. Hey, Tina, welcome in. I didn't see you pop in there. Who else have I missed while we've been
She should have been in here the whole time because we've gone totally rogue today.
Yeah, we have. And there's that picture again. Now, this is another modern day safari pic, sort of. But you got some variation of the zebras.
And nothing I'm going to be in looks anything like any of those photos.
So that's all too dry or not wooded enough?
It's all, well, that's like a grassland. That must be in the Masai Mara or, Tanganyika or somewhere up Kenya, or where I'm going to be looks like South Texas. It's It's all thorn scrub and mostly wooded.
That's another thing that Capstick, Capstick was talking about. They did something. What were they after? I think it was a rhino story. I think that's the one he had to bust in the horn. But something happened, and he looked over, and there was either one of his clients or one of his bears had run up the only tree he could find, which because that's what they say. Don't wait. Go up the nearest tree. That's your best defense. And he'd gone up a tree that was just some kind of an acacia or something, and it was just absolutely covered with big giant thorns. And this guy was like bleeding profusely, apparently, and climbing a tree.
But he didn't get gored by a rhino.
No, he didn't get gored by a rhino, which they are known to do. And they'll just lift you up on the horns and toss you or carry you down the road. They're not super. And there's some wildebeest in there, too. Did you tell me you had a wildebeest ticket? No. Yes? No?
I could. I'm not, but
that's a big money ticket.
No, it's not. Okay. I'm not. Like I said, if I could shoot an impala and a warthog with my bow,
you'd be happy.
I'll be done. And if I don't, I'll be done too. I just want to see it. I want to get bitten by their insects and
bring home some disease.
And talk to, and maybe learn some words of whatever language.
We'll see if you bring home something like
and maybe die of the yellow fever or something.
Yeah, if you bring home something like that and live through it, you can talk about it the rest of your life. I brought this home from Africa with me. I mean, that's almost as good as a big scar. So let me tell you the story of this guy. And there's another example of modern day safari. Well, I'll leave it there for a minute. Well, I'd like to have a picture of I'll leave it there. That Cotter guy had hunted and for a long time, and he was one of the early guides or had been guiding, or one of the later ones, maybe, actually. And he died in the most unusual way. Um, one of your friends got him, and uh,
One of my friends.
yeah, Black Death.
Oh,
What's his name? Bagombo? No,
Mbogo
Mbogo.
or Dagaboy. If you're in
It
South
was
Africa, you call them Dagaboys. If you're
Dagobah.
in Swahili country, you call them Mbogo.
Mbogo. Well, and Mbogo was chasing somebody, uh, one of his crew, or again a client. I'm not sure which. But it was running them down and out of the brush, and he had to shoot at close range to prevent it from killing both of them in the end. Because when the guy come running out of the thicket, he ran right by him, I guess. And here come Mr. Bad Guy, and he had to shoot it at almost point blank range, which always seems to be the case. And he emptied 2 barrels of whatever he was carrying with him at that time, and he dropped it. He hit it square in the head, I guess, and it dropped it, and in the right place in the head, not in the boss. And but it was kind of coming downhill at him, so when he hit it, it just rolled over and landed on him. Literally rolled him down the hill, and they said when they got him out from under the buffalo, he seemed to be okay. In fact, he got up and shook himself off and finished what he was doing and went home. And then he died, and they found out that later that he had ruptured his spleen.
Really?
Yeah, and that's a thing. And I know of 3 cases of this now that have happened where that's discovered that has happened to somebody, and they didn't even know it happened. There was a guy I knew from a motorcycle club I belonged to, was riding down in the that mountainous park in Texas. It's on the border, Big Bend.
Yeah.
They were riding around Big Bend, and they were there's like one major crossroads on the paved road in there, and in Big Bend, and he had an accident there, slid off the road. I don't know if there was a car involved. Maybe he got hit by a car, actually. But he popped up and really didn't think there was anything wrong. He said, "No, I'm good. I'm good." And I think, and there's not an ambulance. The only hospital there is an Alpina or Alpine, and
which is a long way from Big Bend National Park.
Yes,
that's a long damn drive.
So he had to get to there, and I think he was up walking around at the accident site still, and he just toppled over. And they got him to the hospital. I think he was still alive, but by that time, I'm guessing he had bled out, and that's what they found. He had a ruptured spleen also, and he didn't even know it, and he was bleeding to death the whole time. And there was a motorcycle racer that I knew of and met a time or two, and he laid his motorcycle down, and the handlebar hit him in the side over here. And he, it hurt, and he was not sure about it, and it was bothering him a little bit. So his wife or somebody said, "I want you to go get checked." He said, "Well, I'm fine." He said, "No, I want you to go get checked." And they took him to the emergency place or whatever, and sure enough, his was ruptured, and he was just about gone. And if they hadn't gotten him to the doctor and insisted that he, go into the emergency care and get checked, he wouldn't have made it. So apparently you can get your spleen ruptured. The moral of this story is don't mess around with a ruptured spleen. So while you're in Africa,
we had a assistant wildlife vet named Huey Dawson, and Huey was leaning up against a fence talking to a bunch of high school kids or something. And the fence he was leaning up against on the inside had a big orange sheep ram that we called Chester the Molester. and Chester came up, and it was a board fence, and Chester came up and hit him in the back through that fence, and Huey started, like, over the next 3 days, started becoming more and more sick. You know, he had a big old bruise on his back, and we checked him out, and he had this great big bruise on his back. And like I said, over the next 3 days, he got more and more sick. And finally, somebody drug his ass or pardon my French, his backside to the hospital in Wheatland. And he had ruptured his spleen, or that sheep had ruptured it for him.
Yeah, so to get big impacts like that to your lower abdomen, don't hesitate to go get it checked, is the moral of that story. So if you get run over by a bogo or an elephant, or go get your spleen checked, all right?
I'm gonna be running. The vervet monkeys are not gonna be fast enough. They're gonna be behind me, buddy.
All you need to find is a big champ.
I just got to get a vervet monkey that's slower than I am.
There you go. That's the trick. I was going to say get a chimp or a gorilla, then they just think that was you because you know.
That's not even in the same part of the continent.
So. I know, but I thought I'd throw it in there anyway. Because, you know, I thought this was interesting because these are probably two.
Yeah, they're whacking the heck out of each other.
Well, it's either two bulls or it's well, I don't know what a cow that, you know, he's thinking about becoming amorous with.
Possibly.
Because I know they do a lot of neck rubbing for that too. Boy, when two bulls like that get together, though, and they start whacking each other with their necks, they're serious. Violent. Yeah, they really do some smacking.
These are real common on the property I'm going to.
Well, cool. That'd be cool, though. You'll get to see them running in the wild.
You know, like I said, the place that we'll be staying on is about 7,000 acres, and they're super abundant there. So that, you know, Terry talked about, they saw dozens of them every day, which will be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And this is
Green Hills.
Look, Green. Have you ever read that one?
I think so. And you have that on your shelf, don't you?
Maybe. That may be one of the ones I have.
I was trying to get Brenda after you.
Brenda, now I want you to remember.
You just bought that last week.
No, I've had that when you were here last time. Remember, I had it then.
Yeah.
You see what she said up there somewhere? She said that once we get moved and get settled in, I can buy books again. She's going to turn me loose again. I can buy books. And I saw a whole set I sure would like to have this morning.
We're definitely in the no purchase of books mode right now. Just
yeah, because you're in the purchase.
So we can go to Africa.
Yeah, I get it. It's a bitch being poor. And that is
that's Harry Selby.
Is that an eland?
That's Harry Selby with a water buck.
Water buck, okay.
And that's Robert Rurik on the other edge of the photo.
Yeah, I don't know why that's cut out. I thought he was in that. There's Papa again.
There's Papa.
With his Underwood typewriter, Brenda.
There's
him without the beard.
With a couple of kudu.
And this is on his last trip. This is his bird hunting. They were saying this was his best kept secret when he was over in Africa. He liked to bird hunt. And this is something that the white missionaries brought in. They thought this could be a cruciform figure that they could get the natives to buy into that would look like one of them, but be Jesus. So that's Jesus. Prostrate on the cross.
So Tina water bucks are like in South Africa are like a dime a dozen. They're super common. That probably in Kenya they got hunted too hard, but other parts of the continent they're really super abundant.
Yeah, and that is something they don't talk about a lot.
And
Anybody,
that's going to be one of the ones that I'd have a hard time. Like I can't afford a water buck, so I won't hunt. I won't buy a license for a water buck because they're way expensive.
Right.
But they're real common on the in northern South Africa. They're very common.
Teddy wants to know if anybody can look at this leopard in the head and identify whether it's male or female.
I can tell you just how it's built.
Well, I could too, but there's another sign.
And the fact that it's packing.
Yeah. Tina has another question you might be able to answer.
What was it that was hunted almost? Let me think about that a while, Tina.
Ding, 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 ding. Tina won. It's a male. He's packing. Diane thought that was fun. Yeah, he's packing. I mean, I looked at it and said, man, that is a big old Tom. I mean, look at the head and the neck on that thing. And well, then I got to
scroll. You could look at everything forward of the hind limbs.
And know it was a
male. Know it was a male.
Yeah.
And he's not eaten very recently either. So
yeah, he's kind of thin.
Probably kind of a dangerous cat right there.
Yeah. Actually.
Because they look at human beings as just another critter that they can harvest.
Yeah, they actually do eat quite a few human beings in Africa.
Well, they kill more people than all the other big cats combined. So
yeah. And
they're not. I mean, it's not like they're tiger size or lion size. They're a fair, 180, probably a big cat.
Big one.
Yeah. They're about the size of. They're maybe a little stockier and a little bigger than a mountain lion, but they can grab you by your skull and take you clear up 40 feet up into a tree.
And that's the really cute thing about these guys. They'll once they get you, they'll pick you up and literally take you up in a tree, even though you're same size as they are. They carry you up a tree and hook you in a fork of a tree, and then they can just lay up there and feed on you for 2 or 3 days.
And all those guys that hunted over there talked about them, that they were these gorgeous cats that were like impeccably clean, but they were the only cat that would like hang something in a tree and eat on it for like a week while it was rotten.
Yeah.
And like, how in the world can that animal like be that clean and still like eat what it eats? And they do that because lions will take their kill away. So
that's why they put them in the tree. Oh, Teddy said that's because he says we're fastidious and we're careful groomers. So there you go.
There you go.
But these guys were thought to be going, these guys, the stuff I've read about leopards is that in some areas, again, they were thinned down. And again, a lot of that had to do with habitat. But they were killed because they do take goats and cattle and people. And they thought that some people thought that their numbers had declined drastically and they might be headed for trouble. But then they really started studying it at that time. And this was, I don't know when the last studies were done, but this was in the late 80s and 90s probably. They were actually a lot more tiger or leopards in Africa than they ever imagined were there still. So
yeah, they're really abundant. They're abundant.
That's not an excuse to go shoot as many of them as you can, Tina. That's
No,
not.
no.
But
they're
they are there.
yeah, they're very common.
I'll be honest with you.
The place I'm going to, this is the cat that
Get to see.
I'll see sign of it probably every day. I probably won't get to see one unless we go out at night with spotlights or something. But
Well, since you're going to be in Africa, go out and collect some spoor for us, would you? The pug marks of a big leopard cat. Lay it down.
I'll guarantee you, at least visually, I'll collect it.
That's what I mean. Collect us some visual. Because their paws are bigger than they look.
Well, and I told you that Terry and Lynn heard big cats every day. They didn't see one,
did they?
They never saw one, but they heard lions every day, and they found leopard spoor every day, lots of it. They found an 11-foot long black mamba.
Oh man!
They had a forest cobra, or one of the cobras, crawl right through camp by the fire pit and by underneath the concession owner's baby's playpen.
Oh my!
And they didn't seem to think anything bad about that the cobra just crawled through camp and went on. But when they saw the mamba, he got unmamba'd real quick.
Yeah, different critter.
Nobody likes them.
I have a friend that was in Vietnam. He was actually in Thailand. He was an aircraft mechanic, and they would have to walk a crew chief, kind of position, and they'd have to walk to and from the air. They were on an air base, but they'd have to walk to and from, the airport, the runway or the ramps areas where they were prepping the airplanes to the barracks or the hangars. And he said they taught them to kind of keep the horizon in their vision and stoop down a little bit and look, because a big cobra can stand up and you can see it. You won't see it if you don't silhouette it somehow against the background, but if you can do that, you can usually see them before you walk into them, which is kind of scary.
Well, and they have kings there, so.
Yes, they have kings there, which is a great big old
cool snake.
Cool snake. I won't lie, I'd love to see them there, but I would want, especially mamas, I would want them to stay their distance. Here's another. This is one in Tennessee. We would refer to this as maybe a lion jam as opposed to a bear jam. And actually, does that not look like hyenas behind them? What is that? And maybe lions are just badly out of focus.
I think it's just more lions walking.
Yeah, because they're dark colored like these. I guess that's what it is. But I would say if this group of females is out prowling around, they're probably on the hunt. Probably time to feed the babies.
Yeah, and it's probably time to roll up your Volkswagen window or whatever that vehicle is.
That is a Beetle. Early 60s model, I'd say. Wow, and look back there in the back. There's
some 50s still roaming around.
There's a Chevy, or could be a Cadillac or even a Buick, but it's definitely General Motors.
And there's an Edsel. Boxy but good.
There he is, king of the beasts. Look at the marks on his face. Look there, Teddy. He's been boxing his sister too, you reckon? There's a big old cut. There's some cuts. Teddy says that's who does all his damage, is his sister. I think that's a nice picture. And maybe this guy in the truck may be kind of walking them back by the camera. I don't know.
And I don't know why. I like those male lions that don't look like Fabio better. The ones that have like a lesser mane. I just think they're cooler looking than than those big, like I said, the ones that look
Like
that's like Fabio.
Yeah. Well, these aren't quite that bad. There might be, well, maybe closer than they look from here.
And those two cats that John Patterson had to kill at Savo, the man eaters of Savo, they killed I don't know how many 100 guys.
It was amazing.
They didn't have manes at all. They were both big male lions, but they didn't have manes.
I don't know if you haven't seen the movie. You guys ought to watch the movie. I guess you could. Some people might
read the book.
Well, yeah, that too. I've read this. Yes, I've read the book, but I've also seen the movie, and I'm just saying that because it's available. If you can see the movie, it tells it pretty accurate.
Yeah, there's some stuff like the Remington guy, he didn't exist, and
right, and they had to shorten it because it took longer than that to do what they did. But they
followed that train building deal for like 200 miles.
Yeah, they didn't just stay in one area. They followed
killing and eating the workers all the way along the way.
Yeah, and they'd come into their tents at night and pull them out, and they were acting out because no females would accept them and settle them down. Well, that could be Fabio. Carol's like thinks Fabio was kind of.
They were acting out all right. They were a little different, those two cats.
See, Tina, that these guys over here in this picture don't do any hunting to speak of. The females do all the hunting, but they leave the protecting of the kill and the guarding of the pride and whatnot with these guys. It's up to them to fight the wars, fight the battles. But, everything, it comes with a price, and the price is we lay around and you feed us when we're not needed. And that's what they do. But I wouldn't want
you'll see a male lion kill a
once in a while.
Buffalo or something every now and again.
And I've read about them getting involved in something like you're talking about, a big. Yes, they do, Tina. That's correct. Why was that so small? That was bigger. And here we got some rhinoceros horses. Right, see what I did there? Rhinoceros.
Both pterodactyls. Odd-toed ungulates, both of them.
True. Good point.
They're more closely related than a buffalo would be to a rhino.
Okay. That's probably, I'm sure that's true. I never thought about it.
It is true.
I know. I just never thought about it quite that way. I'll be honest with you, these guys right here, while they're probably very used to having people around them, I'm guessing, I wouldn't be on my horse that close to a rhino, I don't think. Especially when the business end's pointed right at my horse's belly.
They're taking a pretty good chance there.
Because if something spooks them, that's why most of the people who've dealt with them call them dum-dums, because if something spooks them, they'll go after whatever is right in front of them. They, as they move out of the way, they won't hang around.
But at least they got their helmets on.
They do have their helmets on.
Whatever.
I thought this was a cool structure this is the kind of house I'd like to live in over there or stay in. Of course, the lions could walk right up the walkway here and get right in your house with you. That's not a problem, but a lot of other stuff wouldn't just sneak in. Whew. Lions could sneak in there and you wouldn't even know they were coming.
I bet the vervet monkeys would sneak in there and you'd never even know they were coming.
Yeah, I'd say you're right there. And Hatari, the movie Hatari.
I just watched it last night.
I watched it a couple weeks ago.
I'm so Africa crazy right now. Yeah, what's his bucket like trapped all those vervet monkeys with the net,
Yeah.
and the great red and blue and silver rocket
Flew through the air.
flew through the air against the sky, a blue sky.
It was beautiful. Oh, tell me about it. Was it beautiful? Did it fly through the air? That's a funny. So Teddy's named after Teddy Pockets. That's where his Pockets name came from. That and the fact that he would go and fit in my pocket. But Red Buttons was the inspiration. And you saw those, and there's some big old Tuskers. Look, they're labeled down here and serialized, so that was, that was one thing, but that wouldn't keep somebody from cutting them up and selling them in a market in Hong Kong or something.
The kudu.
Did I read this? Yeah, I read that to you. Can't remember this guy's name. There's that bird again. There's some more giraffes. I really do think those are pretty neat animals. I wonder if this is a gravid female right here. Boy, she sure looks heavy.
A gravid female.
Oh, you know what that means.
Well, yeah, if you're a herp guy or a fish head.
Well, maybe, but still, you get the point.
I know what you're talking about. There's Robert Rurik.
Sitting on Buffalo's head.
There's Harry Selby right behind him, and Kadogo, and Chimani, and I can't remember the other guy's name.
He's using a big double rifle.
Yep.
Is that him or is that
that's Rurik again in one of his later.
Yeah. I can't remember what they said. Who this young lady
with the
was.
Maasai, he's some Maasai dude.
No, actually, it's a female.
Some Maasai female.
They also talked about how much the safari life from Africa still influences a lot of fashion. And they're right. A lot of camping clothes, a lot of outdoor stuff is still modeled after things they wear over there. And I was looking at a really cool pair of boots the other day. Not to buy yet, anyway. But they were named at one. Some of them were named after Celis, the famous guide, and they were cheetahs on the hood. They man, they're neat boots. They're thick leather, made somewhere over in that part of Africa where you're going. I can't remember the town, and I'm sure I still have that pulled up.
Do any of the herds in Africa lose their antlers like deer? No, Tina, they're not so deer, all the deer species shed their antlers every year.
But they're not deer species.
But there are no deer species in Africa. They're true antelopes and buffalo and things of that nature. They're not. So nobody sheds their headgear, if you will, over there. They just keep growing and growing and growing their horns. Yeah. Unlike, like a pronghorn sheds its horn sheaths every year, but they're the only animal on the planet that does that. Every other horned animal, they keep growing.
And it only sheds the sheath. I mean, they call it the ossipose or whatever stays on there, doesn't it?
Yeah, so the bone core is still part of the skull, it's never naked though, if you will. The new horns pushes the old one off. The new horn sheath pushes the old one off on a pronghorn, but they're not related to anything.
That's right. They're not actually related to anything else on Earth.
Their closest relatives, actually, and if you look at like and they're not closely related at all, but their closest relatives are giraffes and okapis. So that's a long time ago that happened.
Yeah, a long time ago. Tina, yes, and there's more to it, but yes, that is one difference. I mean, they're different critters inside. They work differently, and they do.
Yeah, totally different creatures.
Everything inside doesn't work the same way on both of them. That's a good picture of a pride at home, comfortable. I don't know if one of all those cubs belong to one of the. I know the females all kind of help raise the young, so I don't know if this would be one litter or if that might be both of these cats had litters. I'm not sure about that. I thought this was cool. Remember our discussion about the metal boat that Meriwether Lewis carried on the Lewis and Clark expedition? Well, on one of the expeditions, the famous expedition where they went looking for Dr. Livingston, that actually happened. Huh?
Can I presume that?
Yeah, you can presume that. And they actually built and carried this steel boat in pieces, just like this.
It's like a takedown boat.
Yeah, takedown boat. Exactly. A little bit different Meriwether Lewis's though. They didn't have to. This one didn't.
Yeah, totally different design.
Which I would think would be well, yeah, but I would think it'd be heavy as hell. But anyway,
it looks like it'd be kind of leaky.
Well, that too. I don't know how they sealed it.
You had another famous African guy.
Yeah.
Leaky. Lucy.
I missed that part. Favorite another African guy. You know,
Australopithecines.
Man, you can use some big old words.
That looks like a Tarzan movie.
Well, it's actually called The Most Dangerous Game, and it was made in 1932. And I had some information on this movie, and I don't have it because that is who is she? Not Vivian Lee. Fay Ray. That's Fay Ray. The female is Fay Ray, but the other two guys I didn't remember. I thought this might have been Boris Karloff, but it's not, even though his name's similar. I don't know if I can open that without ruining everything, but I can. I did look it up and see who they were, and I had a note on my page, but I didn't get to show that. But that, oh well, there we go. I don't think I've got too many more because I didn't get much further along this morning. I was working on it last night hard to finish it, and let me see how to say this nicely. Well, let's just say the ham started hurting from being still too long, I guess. I can't figure out what I'm doing now. Here we go. Well, hell, what am I?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know either. I'm just going to give up here in a minute. Well, shit. Apparently, I shut my folder.
Yes.
I wanted to finish that before I said goodbye. All right, where were we? We were about done anyway, I think. Yeah, we actually were about done.
Well, you're still displaying a frozen picture of us.
Okay, do you see that one now? Oh,
No,
that is,
all I see is a frozen. Now I don't see. Now I just see you and I,
I'm getting ready to fix that.
but we're moving.
And
Now I
that's
see it.
and look there, he's fixing his leg. There lays a leopard, and right there in the
And
white paint.
somebody's fixing his chewed up leg.
Yes, I believe they are. And we'll end it on that one before it slides
That's
goes out.
that's a big old Tom.
Now, hopefully this wasn't so bad as the seatbelt discussion or the baby carrier discussion, but I would like to come back and talk about just animals next time. But so
So I'm
it's almost
I'm
1 o'clock.
gonna be hunting the big three, the little three, probably.
You can hunt what you say
I get three animals, and again, I'm gonna carry this piece of yellow wood that I'm whittling on to make a bow out of, and I don't really care if I harvest anything. I just want to see it. So,
yeah.
but if I have to, if like a giant warthog passes me by at like 5 yards, I might have to think about that. So,
Well, if you do, bring me back a tooth or a tushy.
Pumba. The Yeah, and they're I guess they got little stands, roadside stands where, so like if you're driving across the Navajo res
Yeah.
and they got stands set up along the highway where you can buy cool jewelry or whatever. They have that those are common over there, and the stands are, and they've got like warthog tusks you could buy by the box. So,
Yeah. I guess the locals eat those things, don't they? Are they fit to eat? Are they like a
I
pig?
think they eat them like we would eat a hog.
Yeah, I would think so, but I don't know that for a fact. I've never seen the recipe of the day of warthog. But
And then,
sure
like
they
I said,
do.
all the meat goes to people there, and the people that are participating get to have their fill. So
Yeah, I was going to point that out. For the anything that does get shot on these safaris um, is basically fed to the
it's
local.
eaten. Yeah.
It's eaten. Yeah, it's eaten. I have another friend who's been over there.
You'd shoot Pumbaa? Tina asked if I'd shoot Pumbaa. No, not him directly.
So if he's singing and he's got a meerkat with him, don't shoot him.
But if it's one of his Mainer relatives, maybe. If he crawls in the blind with me.
Well, don't use a predator call over
Because you've seen me about get eaten by a Pumbaa of sorts.
an American Pumbaa. I sure Woo, Mark got big real fast and up in the air.
that javelina run right under my backside.
And Javelina went from looking like he was about 40 pounds to somewhere over 300, I think.
His little tushies were gnashing when he came charging in.
He was a lot further away from me than he was Mark. God, he came in fast. I could not believe it. I barely got set up, and the only pictures I really got were blurs as he went running by you.
He was 400 yards away in here, and I'm like, I've heard that you can squeal on a predator call and call these right in.
And I said, well, let's see if we can get a picture. And grab him by the snout.
And he did come. He was there like in an instant.
I just thought of something. We got to write this down. I need to write this down today. Don't grab a flying squirrel.
Don't grab a flying squirrel. Don't grab a long-nosed gar.
Don't grab a pumbaa. Don't blow your, not unless you're really ready, don't blow a predator call around peccary. Because they will come climb right up your leg.
We've had some adventures.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. Are you ready? You're
See you, Carol.
Yeah. I got to go too. We're going to go too, Carol. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for sticking with us. There'll be some more stuff on it. I do want to talk about the animals more because
we've been on here for a long time today.
Yeah,
buddy.
A lot longer than I realized. How time gets away when we're having fun with friends. So anyway, yeah. So I may do that next week. Mark's got a couple months if I get time. Things will might get a little bit iffier. I'm going to try to make sure this show goes on as scheduled. When it gets down to time to move, though, eventually this will all get packed or shut off. So at that point, I'll be ouch. I'll be out of pocket for a little while. And but we'll see. It's not time for that yet. And when it does happen, I'll let you know ahead of time. And Mark's this great adventure that Mark's talking about later on, a little bit later on in the year too. So we still have time to talk about these things some more. I can't wait to see that bow strung in anger.
It'll be strung pretty quick here.
Anyway, guys, thank you all for being here. Elena, thanks for getting up and talking to us about our geography that was where we were just so way off. But we're back. We'll get better at it. At least I know where the damn place is. Mahalo and aloha or whatever, if that's not the same thing, a different way. Marcus, you take care, buddy. I don't know what you got the rest of the day, but I'm going to park myself over there for a while. And
it has mostly to do with livestock. So I'll talk to you later.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye. Thanks. All right, everybody. It's left. Bye-bye. Thanks for another great Saturday morning. Tell all your friends this is the place to be.